Fantasy freaks and geeks. What's going on? James Coe here with you. You're listening to me on a Thursday. You know what that means. It's time now for some sleepers. Let's freaking go. Let's talk about wide receiver sleepers here today as we are fast approaching here week number 12 and bye-mageddon. Bye week hell is upon us. 6 teams on a bye. I'm assuming y'all need some wide receiver help. There are some bad boys out there that are going to be sitting on some benches, man. So we need some help. I get it. We're going to start here and talk about Keenan Allen taking on Minnesota. The Bears have given up, the Minnesota Vikings have given up the 5th most receptions and the 4th most yards per game to receivers in the slot. Add it all up, and they've given up the 2nd most fantasy points per game to inside wide receivers. And the Bears offense, let's be real, it looked and felt a lot better under new OC Thomas Brown. The volume uptick for Keenan is also undeniable. Over his last 3 games now, Allen is averaging 8.0 targets per game. That is a big leap from the 5.25 targets he averaged in his previous 4 games. Now, can I also say this? I want to stay with this team now, and I really like Rome Odunze versus Minnesota. He might be my favorite sleeper wide receiver this week. Odunze is coming off of a strong 10-target game last week where he produced 6 grabs for 65 yards. 12.5 in PPR. It doesn't move the needle for a lot of people, but man, he has a real opportunity against Minnesota to put up an even bigger number. Those 10 looks, by the way, that's the most he has seen since his 11-target game in week number 3. But here's the thing. Keenan Allen was hurt in that week 3 game. So truncated target share, concentrated target share, I should say. And as a result, Odunze saw 11 targets. This is different. In week number 11, Chicago had all of their pieces. Thomas Brown, the new OC, it was pretty clear that Rome Odunze was going to be a bigger feature piece in this offense with this new OC, right? In a 6-game stretch from weeks 4 to 9, Odunze averaged just 5 targets per game. Just 5. You're telling me after they make the coordinator change, all of a sudden everyone is healthy, DJ Moore is there, Keenan Allen is there, he doubles his average going from 5 to 10? Listen, that is a purposeful 10 targets, if you get my drift. They want to feature this guy. And I think it makes sense. If you're watching the Chicago Bears play, Keenan Allen has, my God, he has lost some juice. Of that, there is no question. DJ Moore is having literally, not figuratively, a career worst year. And I think that the Bears are going away from that. So they want to feature Rome Odunze more heavily, who I think has been playing pretty darn good football. And again, Odunze, bigger role in this offense. It's a great matchup too, man. Great matchup. Minnesota has given up the 3rd most receptions and the 3rd most yards and the 4th most fantasy points per game to outside wide receivers this year. They've allowed an outside receiver to score 15 plus PPR points against them in 5 of their last 6 games. The only team to fail to produce a productive outside wide receiver against the Minnesota Vikings. A transitory Colts offense that was going from Anthony Richardson trying to figure out, okay, do we like Joe Flacco? Do we like AR? Do we like Joe Flacco? We don't know. A team that was trying to find some identity there. And again, their outside receivers are banged up Michael Pittman, Adonai Mitchell, who's a rookie, and Alec Pierce, I like Alec Pierce, but I mean, come on, he's a inconsistent player, to say the least. Right. So that's the only team in their last 6 games that has failed to produce a productive outside wide receiver. Tell me why Rome Odunze is not that dude. I mean, shoot, if you want to sell me on DJ Moore having a breakout game, I'm buying. I can buy that too. I just think with what we saw last week, Rome Odunze might be that guy. Plus, we're talking about a rookie late in the season. Ooh, Woo! Let's go. Stuff to get excited about. Stuff to absolutely get excited about. All right, speaking of those aforementioned Indianapolis Colts, remember, they do not have a great secondary as well, which is why we really like Jamo Williams. Jameson Williams got a great matchup here. The Colts have given up the 5th most receptions and the 5th most yards to outside wide receivers. Obviously, we know that Jameson Williams can connect on big plays as well. He's done that all season long. It's a great matchup for him. Obviously, he's a very up and down player, but this could be a game where Jameson Williams has one of those pop games, man. Has one of them pop games. So I really like what we're looking at here from a matchup perspective here for Jamo Williams. Okay, let's talk about a deep sleeper here. Adam Thielen versus KC. I am going so against the grain because everyone and their mama is telling you to play Jalen Coker. Jalen Coker, he's got a great matchup, and he does. Don't get me wrong. It's a wonderful matchup. The Chiefs have given up the 2nd most touchdowns and the 4th most fantasy points per game to wide receivers who line up inside, right? 75% completion rate allowed to inside wide receivers. That ranks as the 2nd worst in the NFL. Much, much tougher on the outside. They're funneling targets to the inside, and guys are cashing in. All right. Nearly every single team that actually deploys a primary slot receiver has scored double-digit PPR points against Kansas City, including 4 straight receivers, by the way. Khalil Shakir, Devon Vile, Sterling Shepard, Jacoby Myers. I didn't list a stud in that group. It's not like that was Cooper Kupp and Chris Godwin early in this. No, it's Khalil Shakir, who we like, Devon Vile, unproven rookie, Sterling Shepard, who's, an aging player. I like Sterling Shepard. We're going to get into that too. But Sterling Shepard and Jacoby Myers. Jacoby Myers probably the most established. No, he's definitely the most established of that group, right? But earlier in the season too, Ladd McConkey, 17.7 PPR points. Andre Yoshivas, again, another unheralded player, 2 touchdowns early in the season against Kansas City, 14.7 PPR points there. And again, we're talking about primary slot receivers going up against Kansas City. So that is why I'm very curious, and a lot of folks in the fantasy space are very curious, who is going to line up inside for the Carolina Panthers. I think it might be Adam Thielen. The prevailing thought out there in fantasy land right now is that Thielen's going to play flanker and Coker is going to play the slot, which very well may happen. And let's be real, the coaching staff let it be known they're going to mix it up. Right, they're going to mix it up. Legette's going to get some inside snaps, and Coker's going to get some inside snaps, and Adam Thielen's going to get some inside snaps. Okay. That being said, earlier in this year, when the team had a healthy Thielen and Deontay Johnson was still on the roster, Thielen played about 70% of his snaps as an inside wide receiver. Now, more recently, we have also seen David Moore start as an outside receiver with Legette moving around. He's been playing X flank. He's been playing all 3 spots for the Carolina Panthers, but mostly flanker X, right? Coker has been the team's primary slot receiver with Deontay Johnson and Adam Thielen out of the roster. Okay, now, again, the fantasy community seems to believe that Coker will start. Emphasis on will start. I am not 100% sure. I think there's at least a possibility that Coker comes off the bench. That David Moore, Legette, and Adam Thielen are your starting wide receivers. And really more specifically, Legette and Thielen are your starters. And when they go to 3, maybe it might be David Moore as an X Legette flanker Thielen slot. I think that's at least a possibility, guys. And here's the thing, even if Coker is the starting, wide receiver, I have a real question as to, does he kick outside? Because Thielen at this point in his career is a much more effective inside wide receiver, not so much as a flank, right? So if Coker does start, it's possible that he starts as an outside wide receiver. Why? Because shoot, man, in college, he played almost exclusively outside. Collegiately, he played outside the vast majority of his snaps. So again, I just bring this up because I don't want any piece of any outside wide receiver against Kansas City. But I do want a starting slot receiver against Kansas City. I could be 100% wrong on this. It could be Coker playing on the inside, and I'm willing to take that L. But my gut tells me that it might be Adam Thielen. If y'all want to take that risk with me, God bless you. But that's why Adam Thielen, to me, is a deep sleeper. Bro, if they kick him outside, I promise you he's getting less than 5 fantasy points. Straight up. If he plays primarily inside, though, oh, shoot, we might be cooking with gas. My boy might come up big with a 15-16 spot. Oh, by the way, don't know who the starting quarterback is, but it might be Bryce Young. And if it's Bryce Young, remember, dude, he had a super big bromance with Adam Thielen last year. So there's some built-in chemistry right there. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Anyways, I spent way too long talking about deep sleeper and Adam Thielen that literally no one else cares about but me. But me, because I'm the sleeper king. I got to figure this stuff out for y'all out there. Anyways, hey, listen, I got another deep sleeper here for you. Sterling Shepard against the New York Football Giants. Can you say revenge? It's a revenge game for our guy, Sterling Shepard. We might have to call him Gold Shepard after this one. He might pop off. He might have a big game. You never know. Look, in all seriousness, I have no idea where Shep is going to line up. Mike Evans sounds like he's going to come back, which is great. He has lined up, Shepard has, as a dominant slot guy. He's also played games where he's been almost exclusively an outside flanker guy, man. Either way, let me just say this, whether he's inside or outside, and you guys know me, I'm super big on alignment, but I think either way, I think it's a good solid matchup. The Giants have been, a little bit weaker on the inside than on the outside, but they're getting beat everywhere, man. 68.9% completion rate allowed to wide receivers in general, in totality. That ranks as the second worst in the NFL. 8.68 yards per target allowed to the position group. That's a bottom 5 figure as well for 2024. So Sterling Shepard does have a really good matchup against the Giants. And again, come on, baby. Revenge is on the mind. I love Sterling Shepard as a deep sleeper this week against those G-men. All right. What else do we got here? I think this is the last one. Oh my gosh, it is. Quentin Johnston against Baltimore. And y'all, you know what this is. Come on. This one's easy. Baltimore has literally, not figuratively, literally the worst secondary in the NFL. I don't know how. They were literally, not figuratively, literally the best secondary in football last year. How do you go from the penthouse to the outhouse that quickly? And shoot, what's crazy is this is the second year in a row we've seen this, right? The year prior was Philadelphia. 2 years ago, scary good. And last year was absolutely abused. This year, Baltimore, you didn't want to play nobody against, you didn't want to play none of your receiving assets against Baltimore last year. Okay, Mike McDonald goes away. All of a sudden, Baltimore ain't looking so good, man. Bottom line is this. I know they held, I mean, even Pickens had a good game, but they played better last week. But overall, man, dead last in receptions, yards, and touchdowns allowed to receivers lined up outside. Receptions, yards, and touchdowns. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think those are all important for fantasy. No? Dead last in that regard. Quentin Johnson has an amazing matchup. Best matchup on the board. For sure. A very solid sleeper this week. Let me just highlight the ineptitude of Baltimore right now. Over their last 7 games, Baltimore has allowed 7 different outside receivers to score 16 plus PPR points per game. And honestly, that would have most likely been 8 different in 7 weeks if Mike Evans didn't get hurt in the first half of that game they played against Baltimore. Quentin Johnston, meanwhile, dude's been productive, man. 3 straight double-digit PPR games, 3 straight games with a touchdown? I almost feel a little wonky chasing another touchdown. Are we going to make it 4 games in a row where QJ has a touchdown? Maybe. I mean, shoot, the matchup don't get no better than what we got this week when the Chargers take on Baltimore. Anyways, all right, so there you go. That's your sleeper list. If you want to find the full sleeper list, obviously, you can go on the website. When you listen to it on Thursday, I'm not 100% sure it's going to be ready. I'm almost there. I am almost there. But for sure, it'll be up on Friday, y'all. For sure, it will be up on Friday. But I'm going to try my best to get it up there on Thursday to give you guys a little bit of lead time here. Anyways, go check it out, sleeperkingfootball.com. And if you have gotten this far, man, I would definitely appreciate y'all liking the podcast on whatever app you have it on. And certainly, obviously, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. But if you could rate and review, man, that would be very helpful for me as well. All right, I appreciate you guys. I'm going to catch you guys tomorrow when we're going to check in on some sleeper tight ends and also talk about some injuries as they are approaching here week number 12. All right, I got to go, but remember, it's never too late to chase your dreams. Peace.